Brahma. Relevance: Bhrigu's father twice. Brahma, the creator, formed the Trimurti with Shiva and Vishnu. It's hard to find a story he doesn't impact, but in this story, he plays the father figure for Bhrigu, not once but twice. During the recreation of the earth, Brahma created 10 Manasputras or mind-born sons, of which Bhrigu was one. Each son was born from a different part of Brahma's body. Bhrigu was created from the tvak or skin of Brahma. Bhrigu's brother hosted a Brihaspati Stava Yajna inviting all of the important entities in the world, except Sathi and Shiva because he had forbidden Sathi to marry Shiva. Bhrigu was the top priest and had to combat Shiva's army when Sathi took her own life. As a result, Daksha was killed. Shiva forgave him and cursed his 9 brothers to be reborn. At the end of the Chakshusha Manvantara, during a massive Brahma Yajna, Brahma fell in love with some damsels, causing his semen to be spewed into the sacrificial fire. One by one, the 9 sages were reborn from the fire.
Jesus, Murphy!
Bhrigu. Relevance: father of astrology. Brahma created 10 Manasputras, or mind-born sons, to help him repopulate the newly formed earth. Bhrigu was one of Brahma's 10 sons, as was sage Vasishtha. Each of Brahma's sons was born from a different part of Brahma's body. Bhrigu was created from the tvak or skin. All of his brothers, except Daksha, took a spiritual path and became great sages. His brother Daksha ran a yajna which ticked off Shiva because he wasn't invited. Shiva's wife Sati killed herself at the fire. Bhrigu was the main sage for the event. Shiva cursed him and his 8 sage brothers to reincarnated. They died and were reborn by Brahma from the fire in a Brahma Yajna. In a Maha Yajna, Bhrigu judged the Trimurti to see who was best. He ticked off Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu all in one go. Eventually he chose Vishnu, who forgave him for kicking him, but in the process, Vishnu destroyed Bhrigu's 3rd eye on the bottom of his foot. The Bhrigu Samhita was the first book on predictive astrology. Daksha. Relevance: brother of Bhrigu. Daksha was one of Bhrigu's brothers and the only one to choose the path of the warrior. Daksha took his role of progenitor of life to heart, and when his wife, Prasuti, and he were marrying off 24 daughters, Bhrigu married his niece Kyati and begot Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity. Daksha conducted the Brihaspati Stava Yajna, and deliberately did not invite his youngest daughter Sathi, and her husband Shiva. He had forbidden her to marry Shiva, but eventually consented. The disgrace of the event caused Sathi to self-immolate in fury in the Yajna fire, and Bhrigu had to create an army to combat Shiva's army. Shiva, in his wrath, invoked Virbhadra and Bhadrakali by plucking a lock of hair and thrashing it on the ground. It all ended with Daksha being beheaded by Virbhadra. But then, Shiva forgave Daksha and resurrected him, with a goat's head. Take it or leave it, father-in-law.
Jesus, Murphy!
Prasuti. Relevance: wife of Daksha. Prasuti was Manushya. She came from basic stock. Her father was Swayambhuva Manu, who was the first of the 14 Manas, the first man of a Yuga cosmogony. He was Manasaputra, or a mind-born son of Brahma, reputed to have divided the Vedas into 4 sections. Her mother was Shatrupa, also a daughter of Brahma. According to Brahma Purana, Shatrupa was regarded as the first woman to be created by Brahma. The combination of marrying Manu, the first man, made their descendants Manushya, the term for mankind. She married Daksha, one of Bhrigu's brothers, and begot Sati, who was Shiva's wife, who took her own life at the Brihaspati Stava Yajna hosted by Daksha and run by Bhrigu. It all ended with Daksha being beheaded by Virbhadra. But then, Shiva forgave Daksha and resurrected him, with a goat's head. Prasuti and Daksha were also the mother of Bhrigu's wife Kyati, Lakshmi's mother.
Lakshmi. Relevance: daughter of Bhrigu. When Bhrigu's brother Daksha and his wife, Prasuti, were marrying off their 24 daughters, Bhrigu married his niece Kyati. Together they begot a very famous daughter of their own. When a baby descended to earth, appearing in a lotus flower, she was raised in the house of Bhrigu as Bhargavi. They were the parents of Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, and future wife of Vishnu. Together with Parvati and Saraswati, they formed the Tridevi of goddesses. Being the consort of Vishnu, she descended with him as an avatar when he went to earth to solve a problem. Lakshmi was Sita to his Rama, and Radha to his Krishna. Her 4 arms represent the 4 goals of humanity. Dharma, a pursuit of an ethical, moral life. Artha, the pursuit of wealth. Kama, the pursuit of emotional fulfillment, and Moksha, the pursuit of self-knowledge and liberation.
Jesus, Murphy!
Sathi. Relevance: Shiva's wife. Sathi was the goddess of marital felicity and longevity, and he first wife of Shiva, reincarnated as Parvati after her death. Prasuti, her mother was Manushya because her father was Swayambhuva Manu, first of the 14 Manas, while her mother was Shatrupa, first woman created by Brahma. Sathi's father was Daksha, one of Bhrigu's mind-born brothers. When she wanted to marry Shiva, her father said no, but she did anyway. So when Daksha hosted a Brihaspati-stava yajna, Shiva and Sathi were not invited. Sathi was enraged and went to the yajna site to commit suicide in the sacrificial fire. After Sathi's death, Shiva carried her body around the world. Her body parts fell to the ground at 51 locations which are known as Shakti Pithas, and they are sacred. The lake at Nainital is one such place. The practice of Sathi is unconnected.
Shiva. Relevance, cursed Bhrigu. Shiva, the destroyer, formed the Trimurti with Brahma and Vishnu. In this story, Daksha, Bhrigu's brother, conducted a Brihaspati-stava yajna and invited all of the devas, rishis, and important entities. Bhrigu was the top priest. Shiva's wife Sathi, Daksha's daughter, married him against Daksha's will. They were not invited, which enraged Sathi, who went and committed suicide in the sacrificial fire. Shiva's soldiers were infuriated and caused havoc. Then Shiva created Virbhadra and Manibhadra. Daksha was beheaded by Virbhadra, who then threw Bhrigu on the ground while Manibhadra kicked him and plucked out his mustache hair. Shiva forgave Daksha and resurrected him, with a goat's head, and cursed Bhrigu to be reborn in Chakshusha Manvantara. They met again during a Mahayajna. Bhrigu was charged with determining the preeminence of the Trimurti. He visited Shiva at Kailash, his home. On arrival, Shiva was conversing with Parvati. He was infuriated by the intrusion, but calmed by Parvati, who stroked his ego. Thank goodness he wasn't having a Kali moment.
Virbhadra. Relevance, laid a beating on Bhrigu. Virbhadra was a fierce form of Shiva created by Shiva's wrath, when he hurled a lock of his matted hair upon the ground. Shiva was upset at hearing that his wife Sathi had died in the fire of the Brihaspati-stava yajna being held by her father. Daksha had excluded her and Shiva because he had forbidden their marriage but could not stop it. Shiva refused to accompany Sathi to the yajna. But Sathi was enraged at her father, and went to the yajna site by herself. Daksha started to humiliate her and her husband, expressing his hatred for Shiva in front of everyone. Sathi couldn't stand it and committed suicide. Upon hearing this, Shiva created Virbhadra and Mahakali. They ravaged the yajna and killed many of the guests. Virbhadra decapitated Sathi's father Daksha, and threw Bhrigu on the ground while Manibhadra kicked him, and plucked out his mustache hair. Nasty bunch. When Shiva calmed Virbhadra down, he made him Angaraka, the planet Mars.
Jesus, Murphy.
Varuna. Relevance, Bhrigu's father. Varuna was the god of the oceans and water. Sage Varuna advised Bhrigu of a definition of Brahma, that from which beings originate, through which they live, and in which they re-enter after death. Explore that, because that is Brahman. This nature of reality and existence developed in Bhrigu's an emphasis on introspection, to peel off the outer husks to reach and realize the innermost kernel of spiritual self-knowledge. Varuna is credited with fathering many children, but in the case of Bhrigu, Vasishtha, and his other sage brothers, they were adopted. Varuna and his wife hosted the massive Brahma Yajna. Brahma fell in love with some damsels, causing his semen to be discharged. Brahma put it in the sacrificial fire, and one by one, the 8 sages were reborn from the fire. Bhrigu was adopted by Varuna and his wife Charsni. Thus, Bhrigu was also called Varuni Bhrigu in this birth. Rama interacted with Varuna in the Ramayana. Varuna arises out of the ocean, bows to Rama, asking Rama to remember he is the soul of peace and love. Wrath does not suit him.
Jesus, Murphy.
Puloma. Relevance, Bhrigu's wife. She was a very virtuous and devoted wife. When she was pregnant with his child, Bhrigu entrusted her to the care of Agni, the fire god. Her ex-fiancé Puloman came to the ashrama and claimed that he had the right to marry her and carry her away. Agni confirmed to him that she was Bhrigu's wife, and upon hearing this, Puloman switched his form to a boar and abducted her. Frightened by this development, Puloma gave birth to her son, who fell on the ground. This son was named Chayavana, meaning the fallen from the womb. A very bright light like the sun was emitting from the baby, and Puloman was scorched to death. Bhrigu cursed Agni, which drove him to go incognito. Brahma summoned Agni to remind him of his role in the universe and told him that the curse stands, but he modified it. Flames would consume everything offered, but his physical body would remain pure. Agni reappeared to reclaim his duties.
Jesus, Murphy.
Puloman. Relevance, kidnapped Bhrigu's wife. Bhrigu's wife was previously betrothed by her father to a Rakshasa by the name of Puloman. Puloman felt Puloma should be his wife, so he abducted her. Puloma was pregnant with Bhrigu's child. He had entrusted her to the care of Agni, the fire god, when her ex-fiancé Puloman came to the ashrama and claimed that he had the right to marry her and carried her away. Agni confirmed to Puloman that she was Bhrigu's wife, and upon hearing that, Puloman switched his form to that of a boar and abducted her. This frightened Pulama who gave birth to her son as she was being carried away, and he fell to the ground. A very bright light, like the sun, was emitting from him, and Pulaman was scorched to death. Her son was named Chayavana, meaning the fallen from the womb. Bhrigu cursed Agni, which drove him to go incognito.
Jesus, Murphy.
Chayavana. Relevance, Bhrigu's son. Chayavana, a son of Bhrigu, was also known as Bhriguvarani, was known for his rejuvenation through a special herbal paste, an Ayurvedic jam known as Kayavana Prasham. He was powerful enough to oppose the thunderbolt of Indra. Bhrigu's wife was previously betrothed by her father to a Rakshasa by the name of Pulaman. Pulaman came to the ashrama and claimed Bhrigu's wife for his own and carried her away. Agni confirmed to Pulaman that she was Bhrigu's wife, and upon hearing that, Pulaman switched his form to that of a boar and abducted her. This frightened Pulama, who gave birth to her son as she was being carried away, and he fell to the ground. A very bright light, like the sun, was emitting from him, and Pulaman was scorched to death. Her son was named Chayavana, meaning the fallen from the womb. Like his father, he became a famous sage. Once, Chayavana was so absorbed in practicing austerities that termites built up their mound all over his body, and only his eyes were left.
Jesus, Murphy.
Agni. Relevance, cursed by Bhrigu. Agni means fire. As fire, he's one of 5 inert elements along with space, water, air, and earth that form our material existence. Offended by Agni, Bhrigu curses him. Pulaman, Bhrigu's wife Pulama's ex-fiancée, abducted her. At a sacrificial fire he said, "Agni, god of fire, tell me, isn't she rightfully mine?" Agni replied, "Her father chose Bhrigu, not you." Pulaman was enraged, assumed the form of a boar, and in the escape, the child slipped out and fell to the ground. Divine rays from the infant overwhelmed the Rakshasa. Bhrigu cursed, "You will become the consumer of all things." Agni replied, "I'm the link between men and gods. How will I fulfill those duties?" Brahma agreed and modified the curse. Anything his flames touched would become pure. Vishnu. Relevance, rubbed out Bhrigu's third eye. Vishnu formed the Trimurti with Shiva and Brahma. Bhrigu was the father of Vishnu's consort Lakshmi, who reincarnated with him as Sita and Radha. At least one encounter with Bhrigu was documented. It was a Mahayajna attended by all of the great sages. They were to determine who was best among the Trimurti. Bhrigu was the judge. He first visited Brahma at Brahmaloka. Bhrigu refused to sing his praise or prostrate before him. Brahma sent him packing, so Bhrigu left for Kailash, the home of Shiva. Shiva was with Parvati. He was infuriated by the intrusion but calmed by Parvati. Next stop, Vaikuntha, home of Vishnu. He was asleep on his Shishanaga. Bhrigu kicked Vishnu on the chest. Vishnu woke, greeted him, and started massaging his feet. In the process, Vishnu destroyed the third eye of Bhrigu. That eye symbolized his ignorance and ego. Bhrigu became aware of his egotistical outbursts. He begged forgiveness of Vishnu, who readily forgave him. He declared Vishnu the greatest.